So polymerase is basically an enzyme that we have derived from some bacteria, that polymerase, if I remember. And from so what we do is we heat the material, and the material here we have the gene that we want to multiply, and also with all the precursors. So nucleotides and we heat it up so the genetic material it separates, and then we cool it down. So the
Okay.
polymerase enzyme works with the nucleotides to create, say, from one strand to two strands of the two copies. So now we have like two double-stranded DNA, for example, and then we can repeat this over a few cycles to find to increase the amount of genes that we have. And this is used in medical diagnostics. So what we have is after we multiply the, and we also add to this mixture some what do we call that, like uh, fluorescent substrates that can
Okay.
attach to the gene.
Mm-hmm.
So so after a few cycles we can measure the fluorescence,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have cycle threshold. So for corona I think it was 40. So if the fluorescence could be detected within 40 cycles, then you had corona. If it took more than 40 cycles to detect fluorescence, then you don't. So that is kind of how it is used in medical diagnostics.
Okay, very good. And
And ma'am, that's all I know. Then
oh,
we have reverse transfer, reverse
right,
transcript.
right, huh. Okay, very good. So, students, actually, what Dev Priya summarized it really it was well. But then I think Dev Priya, so the towards the end, the applications that you were talking about, those are, I would say, these are variants of PCR. So, the way I will start off with is first to discuss the basics of एकदम basics of PCR. What's the need of PCR? So PCR is polymerase chain reaction. So the term itself means that it involves a polymerase, right? And it is a chain reaction. So chain reaction, I think, if you remember in which course? I think in chemistry or something, you have a chain reaction, right? Fission, fusion, something like this. You remember that? So here also it's a cascade, it's a chain of reactions, and these chain of reactions, they result in amplification, right? It results in amplification of the product. So the main reason why PCR is used is to amplify a product. So this amplification can be amplification of a gene, right? It can be amplification of a non-coding DNA. It can be an amplification of 16S ribosomal DNA. It can be an amplification of any fragment, right? Any fragment, any DNA fragment which you think you want to amplify. Now the question is, why at all PCR is required? So it was discovered by a scientist called Gary Mullis, who was awarded a Nobel Prize for the discovery of PCR. And the reason PCR was developed, and it is one of the, I mean, just like restriction endonucleases, the person got Nobel Prize. Exactly, PCR is also one of the very basic technique which is used a lot in molecular biology. So the applications of PCR, like Dev Priya mentioned, in medical diagnostics, but in fact the main application is to amplify a gene. And when we talk about amplification of a gene, so the point is, why at all, why do you need to amplify? The answer is, when we talk about amplification, this is required because the gene copy is less, right? And why the gene copy is less class? So when we talk about genomic DNA, right? So in, for example, bacteria, how many copies of chromosome is there? How many copies of chromosomal DNA are there?
Single.
Single.
One.
Always.
No, ma'am. In some cases, there could be more as well.
Diploidy or polyploidy, but usually single. So that means number of genes are going to be how many? Gene copies, number of.
Usually, only one copy of a gene will be present.
Right. So usually it is one copy. Only and only in rare cases you have more copies. For example, for 16S RNA, you have like even up to, in some cases you have one copy, but it can be as high as up to 14 or 15 copies as well. So it varies, but most of the time when we talk about replication protein, when we talk about partitioning protein, when we talk about, for example, genes for accessory functions, these are present only and only in one copy. So when you want to study that gene, then in order to study that gene, what we need to do is we need to clone that gene. And for cloning that gene, you need to have that gene in enough copies, right? So that you can use it for different purposes. So therefore, you need to use PCR to increase the copies, right? You also use PCR to increase the copies when we talk about, if you remember, the students who were there in the last class when we were discussing RFLP, you remember that? There we were discussing that the DNA can be isolated from here, from blood cells, from skin cells, you remember that? And then
Yes, ma'am.
for solving murder mysteries, for identifying the suspects. So in such cases also, when we talk about hair sample or when we talk about skin cells or a drop of blood, then in that case the amount of DNA, right? The amount of DNA, the starting material is very less. So in such cases, RFLP is coupled with actually PCR. So what you do is you perform PCR, and then this PCR can be further, the PCR product or the amplicon that is amplified, the desired region, the non-coding DNA that is amplified can actually be subjected to restriction digestion and then can be analyzed. Are you people following?
Yes, ma'am.
People realize that PCR is something very good because it can amplify the product, and for that reason this PCR technique was used for identification of novel genes, for solving murder mysteries, for identifying strain differences, for example 16s of one versus 16s of another. So you can identify strain specific differences. You can study genetic polymorphism as well by PCR because, for example, the polymorphism is happening in the gene, let's say, of glutathione S transferase. So in this case, what you can do is you can amplify the gene of glutathione S transferase, and then you can subject it to again restriction digestion, or PCR can be followed by sequencing. Right? Likewise, it is used in medical diagnostics where you can identify the gene which is responsible for the disease, for example. So there are multiple applications of PCR. So let's discuss how exactly PCR works and what are the requirements of PCR. So when we talk about the requirements of PCR, the first requirement is actually it requires a template. So template is the term for any DNA which you want to amplify, right? So we call it as a template DNA. This DNA can be any DNA. That means it can be genomic DNA, metagenomic DNA. Metagenomic DNA, that means total community DNA, right? Or it can be plasmid DNA. You can amplify anything, or it can be DNA. It can be prokaryotic DNA, it can be eukaryotic DNA. So this is called as a template, the term that we use. template which contains the desired gene or desired DNA fragment or desired non-coding DNA which you would like to amplify. Okay. The second thing which it requires is a polymerase. So polymerase, actually every bacteria has, for example, E. coli has a polymerase, then all organisms, whether it's bacteria, archaea, eukaryotes, they all contain polymerases. So what is the function of polymerase class? You remember from replication? Arey, my class is there or everybody is gone? Can you hear me or no? Don't sleep.
Yes, ma'am. We do remember carrying the replication of the single-stranded DNA. It happens with the help of polymerases.
Okay. And so when it amplifies the single-stranded DNA, so can it amplify directly or it requires something?
Now it requires those nucleotides
Okay.
to be present in the
And
cell.
single-stranded DNA binding proteins have to be present just to make sure that the single-stranded DNA doesn't bind again.
Okay. Okay. And do you remember something else? Like can it, if you have a single-stranded DNA and then if we keep adding DNTPs or nucleotides, can the polymerase work?
We need other proteins that help in the replication, that help in the process polymerization.
Okay, but in replication, I thought you have studied something else. Do you remember what else is required? Mm,
Primer.
what else is required? Anybody in the class? Okay, let me open the Teams. I cannot see you people who is there. Agrim Sharma is there. You have joined late?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, don't worry.
Ma'am,
So
I was saying there must be a primer. There is also a primer for setting the location of that.
okay, and what is that primer made up of in DNA replication?
Uh,
Ma'am, it's RNA,
It's
made up of RNA.
Everybody remembers that or yeah, भूल गया सब replication? I will be teaching that. Don't worry. If you remember, fine. If you don't remember, don't. I'll be discussing DNA replication. So polymerase is required, and these polymerases they usually require some kind of primer. So either if it's an RNA primer, it's called RNA dependent DNA polymerase. If it's a DNA primer, it's called DNA dependent DNA polymerase. ठीक? This part is clear. So there are different type of polymerases. One can be RNA dependent and one can be DNA dependent DNA polymerase. So both are DNA polymerases. One is which uses RNA as the primer and the other one which uses DNA as the primer. Okay, so when we talk about these polymerases are present in E. coli and polymerases are present in many bacterial strains. But then can these polymerases, that's a question. So to understand that whether we can use E. coli polymerases, let's understand how actually PCR works. So other than template, other than polymerase, PCR also requires primers. Okay, and when I say primers, it is actually a primer pair. So that means you require two primers as a forward primer and the other one is called as a reverse primer. Okay. The thing that we require is DNTPs. DNTPs, right? You also require a buffer because the buffer is required for the action of polymerase and this buffer has to contain, so this you need to remember, this buffer has to contain magnesium ions because these are required as cofactors for the polymerases. So buffer besides containing other components like TriCl and then potassium acetate. So besides containing other components, it has to have magnesium in the form of MgSO4, magnesium sulfate, or magnesium chloride. Okay, class? So when we talk about setting the reaction, so in the reaction, in fact, when we set the PCR reaction, what we have is in the components, you need to add template. You need to add the primers. I will write this as FP and RP, forward and reverse primer, right? And then you will have buffer. Buffer is 10x, but we use 1x. And then you make up the volume with milli-Q or double distilled water. Once you add all of these components, so the template actually contains the desired gene, which needs to be amplified by the polymerase with the help of primers. So then there is a PCR program, so which Dev Priya has mentioned. So the PCR program actually involves a few steps. Maturation of DNA. So what happens is that the DNA, which is double stranded, this is denatured by heating. So usually the temperatures that are used are around 95 degrees. This is followed by annealing. Annealing of primers. It as denaturation, annealing of primers. So this is the temperature at which the primers, the forward and reverse primers that are used, they bind to the template DNA, which is denatured. I'll be explaining you with a figure, but just to tell you the cycles first. So this annealing temperature, usually the best is in the range of 52 to degrees Celsius. Then you have an extension temperature. Temperature is the temperature at which the polymerase extends the DNA. It incorporates DNTPs and extends the DNA. Okay, so before I explain you what is a primer and how it anneals to the template DNA and how the PCR program actually works. So this is not a complete program. This is only to show you the steps. But then let's go back to the point where we were here. So template, I guess everybody is clear with that the template is any DNA which contains the desired gene which needs to be amplified, correct? Now we wanted to discuss which polymerase to be used. So class, E. coli is a mesophilic bacteria or thermophilic bacteria? E. coli, what's the optimal temperature for E. coli? Growth temperature?
Around 30.
Okay. Yes, so E. coli grows at 37 degrees. It can also grow at 30 degrees, but in fact the optimum temperature is 37 degrees, right?
Yes.
So therefore, class, if we use E. coli polymerase, then what will happen if the reaction, right? So in the PCR reaction, we have added E. coli polymerase. Yes, you have added E. coli polymerase, and in the PCR program, the reaction mixture is heated 95 degrees. The whole reaction mixture, right? So this whole reaction mixture is heated at 95 degrees. Tell me what will happen to E. coli polymerase at 95 degrees.
So it will get denatured and won't be able to.
Right. So that's the problem. So E. coli polymerase, because E. coli has an optimal growth temperature of 37 degrees. So the enzymes of E. coli, they cannot tolerate higher temperatures. So therefore, at 95 degrees or at higher temperature, even at 52 degrees, the E. coli polymerase cannot sustain. It will denature and therefore it will become non-functional. Class, is this point clear? The basis of selecting the polymerase. So therefore, class, we do not use E. coli polymerase. Otherwise, E. coli polymerase is equally good. But then the E. coli polymerase cannot sustain, cannot withstand such high temperatures. So therefore, the polymerase that is used is obtained from thermophilic strains. Okay. Thermophilic strains, that means the strains which can tolerate higher temperature, thermophile, right? Thermophiles are the bacterial strains which can grow at higher temperatures, which can withstand higher temperatures, right? So therefore, the bacterial strain that is used is actually Thermus aquaticus, right? And therefore, now who is going to tell me the name? Not Devpriya, somebody else has to try. I've already taught you people the nomenclature of the enzymes.
TAC.
Okay.
One.
Yes, very good. So here the enzyme is called Taq polymerase. So the logic of selecting Taq polymerase is clear, I hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, nahi.
Yes.
Okay. So that is why we do not use E. coli polymerase, but we use polymerase from a thermophilic strain, and the one which is used is commonly used is from Thermus aquaticus, and it is called as Taq polymerase. Okay, now let us see what are primers. So we are here at this point. So what are primers? So primers are actually small sequences. Okay. So primers are actually small oligonucleotides which are usually in the range of 18 to 24 base pairs in length. To 24 nucleotides in length. So these are small oligonucleotides and these are 18 to 24 nucleotides in length. Now please tell me, what's the idea of using 18? Why not 6? Why not 4? Why not 8? Based upon what I have taught, nothing new.
For specificity.
Yes, very good. This is for specificity, because if we are using a 6 base pair or an 8 nucleotide sequence, then in that case it can bind to multiple places. Therefore, to ensure specificity, we usually prepare a primer which is longer than 15-16 nucleotides, and therefore an ideal primer length that is suggested is in the range of 18 to 24 nucleotides in length. Now these primers, right? These primers have to have a GC content. Real primer should have a GC content in the range of 40 to 60%. That means if the GC content is too low, class, if the GC content is too low, then also the primer will not be good, and if the GC content is too high, then also the primer will not be good. Why?
Ma'am, but actually shouldn't it depend upon the what sort of DNA you want to bind it to?
Now this is Vishantan has joined kya? Okay. Huh. What did you say, Vishantan?
Ma'am, shouldn't the GC content depend upon what sort of DNA you want to bind it to?
Right. So GC content depends upon, so at times, okay, so I think maybe you missed the first part. So when we were discussing the applications of PCR, it is used for amplification of a gene, but it can be used for just checking whether the gene is present or not. It can be used for amplifying non-coding DNA. It can be used for amplifying any DNA, okay? Any DNA. So there at times specificity is required in the sense that you want to amplify the desired gene from the initiation codon to the termination codon. So in such cases, there is no choice but to select those sequences, right? But many a times when you just want to check whether the gene is present or not, so in such cases you can select a region which is going to give you better amplification where the primer binding is better, right?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, like for example, if you want to select a specific gene and like the regions surrounding it have like a very high GC content where the primer would bind. So obviously the primer would have a high GC content as well, right?
Right, so maybe I'll take an example. So let's say 80. Some sequence. In this case, for example, you have a sequence and we go on and on, and then again right. So in such a situation, right, in such a situation,
Yes, ma'am.
for example, you have a stretch of A's, right? But for example, you have a sequence which is here. So in this case, and you don't want to amplify the entire, okay, let me do it this way. So you have a stop codon after this, right? And you need to amplify the whole gene from this point to the stop codon, correct? So in this case, you don't have a choice. You will have to use these A's. But then in that case, there are different types of polymerases and there are certain modifications in the buffer. For example, DMSO is added. There are a few additions which need to be done in the reaction buffer. We'll be discussing those in later classes. But then in such cases, if you have to take the stop codon into consideration, then one possibility is you need to make a bigger primer. So 18 to 24 is desirable, but maximum you can go up to 40 to 45. So in such cases, you can design bigger primers for increasing the specificity, right? But in case you do not want to amplify the desired gene, you just want to check whether it is present or not. So in such cases, you can design a primer easily from here.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the point I'm trying to say. But we'll be discussing this in detail, like how to take care of such stretches. Okay.
Ma'am, one question for the primer binds always from the ends, right? If it will not bind from the end, it will bind the extension will not happen, right? And we will not have multiple copies. So in that case, we must know the sequence of the end of the DNA fragments which we want to amplify.
Nahi, Ratnesh. So the point is primers will bind to whichever. So let's say in this case, for example, if I have designed a primer from here, so in this case it will bind here. If I have designed a primer from this region, right? So then it will bind here. Why not?
So,
Wait,
so how the primers are created, right?
yes, that's what. So hopefully this part is clear. Like primers are small oligonucleotides. Usually they are 18 to 24 nucleotides in length, and this is to ensure specificity. They should have a GC content, ideal GC content in the range of 40 to 60%. This is like in an ideal situation, right? And I'm going to discuss with you the rules for designing a PCR primer as well. But before that, let's see how primers are made. So how do you think these 15, 18 nucleotides are made? think these are made? Primers.
Ma'am, I think these are random sequences of 15 to 18 base pairs.
अरे बिल्कुल नहीं, these are not random. यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है? I have written specificity, right? So random का मतलब, so whenever you use the word random, random means the primer is this. This is random. That means N is any. GATC, anything. Right? So if it is a random primer, it can bind anywhere in the chromosome. Right? So therefore primers have to be specific. But then the question is, how are primers made? So primers, they are not made by biological methods. Primers are synthesized by chemical synthesis. A solid phase synthesis is done. Synthesis of these oligonucleotides, and I will not be going to the details of solid phase oligonucleotide synthesis, but so this is discussed in a course combinatorial biotechnology, where we discuss like how are microarrays made and how the details of solid phase synthesis. But then for now, if you remember this, key primers are prepared by chemical means, by solid phase synthesis. Phosphodiester bonds are there, everything is there, and the point that I would like to tell you over here is that in solid phase synthesis there is a limit to the length of the synthesis. So for example, 15 nucleotides class, up to 50 nucleotides the primer synthesis is fine, but the moment the length crosses 50 nucleotides, then the efficiency decreases. Errors, the chances of errors increase, and therefore if you really want a long primer of 70 to 80 nucleotide, then in this case you need to go for page purification. You remember, now the class knows what is page purification. We discussed when we were discussing electrophoresis, you remember that small oligonucleotides can be separated by polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. So here page purification is, you are going to run it on a polyacrylamide gel, perform electrophoresis, cut the desired band and gel elute it. And now the class knows what is gel elution as well, right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are chemically synthesized, and usually people outsource this. For example, there are companies like Sigma, like Eurofins, like GCC. So you just email them the primer and they will carry out the synthesis for you. So the way it works is, they have solid phase synthesis, means the synthesis is carried out on a solid support. So what they use is like silica beads, and onto the silica beads they carry out the synthesis of these oligonucleotides. So they have like 4 bottles containing A, T, G and C, and every time whatever nucleotide you want to add, that is programmed, and then from that bottle the DATP will be added, and then likewise DTTP will be added, and so on. So that is how the synthesis is done, and finally it is purified by if it's a small oligo, it is purified by just desalting. If it's a little longer, then they do HPLC purification, and if it is longer than 50, then they do page purification. So then hope now you know that how are primers synthesized, but then let's see how the primers bind and how to design, how to write the sequence of the primers. So please see carefully. The polymerase class, you need to understand this figure, so you need to pay a little more attention over here. So in this case, what you are seeing is the double-stranded DNA, sense strand and antisense strand, correct? Sense strand is 5' to 3', the green one, and antisense strand is 5' to 3', the black one, right? Now primers are always extend the chain from the 5' to 3' direction, class, because it's the polymerase which is going to extend the chain, right? So the primer sequence is, so the primer will extend with the help of polymerase in the 5' to 3' direction. So what you see in the figure is there is one primer which is shown in black, right, which binds at the 3' end of the sense strand, and then it will extend the chain, correct, class? And then
Yes, ma'am.
and then you
Yes,
see
ma'am.
the forward primer. So the forward primer is also 5' to 3' because polymerase will move from 5' to 3' direction. So therefore it will extend the chain from 5' to 3' direction. Right? Is this clear or no?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
So all you need to remember is that polymerase is going to extend the chain only and only from 5' to 3' direction. So this part you need to remember. It cannot extend the chain in opposite direction. It always moves from 5' to 3' direction. Okay? Everybody? Ashi Dhwani?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
It's clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So in this case, when we have these two strands, then now you know what is the primer like and where is the primer going to bind if we want to amplify this segment of DNA, right? So this primer will extend the upper chain and the green primer will extend the black chain, correct? The black DNA.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay. So now would you like to try designing the primer? So let's go back to this sequence. So if we need to design the primer for this, how are we going to do it? Let me write forward primer. Let's attempt it. Design forward primer. So these primers you will have to design. Is it clear or not clear? In case it is not clear, you tell me. I will explain you one more time. But there is no way you need to design it. Everyone is quiet.
Ma'am, what you want to say? Like, we should say the
You need to
sequence
design
or
the, yes. Tell me the, okay. Sequence of forward primer and reverse primer for amplification of the above gene. Okay. Class.
so, ma'am, what we should say the sequence, right?
Sequence, yes.
So,
So that's
ma'am,
why
it is RNA, so it follows like A pairs with U and T pair and G pairs with C.
नहीं, it is not RNA. It is DNA.
So just
For
it is
forward
C
primer,
pairing.
Ashi, you were saying
yes,
something.
ma'am. Shall I start with the sequence for the forward primer?
Right.
Probably the sequence is going to be, just a second, I cannot see. TACG.
TACG.
Yes, ma'am. It should start from the, like, just a second, ma'am. It should start from the
Ma'am,
5'
Okay.
end, right?
Right, so hold on. So let me go back to the same figure one more time
Yes,
and then maybe you try. Ashi, you are almost there, but then just see carefully one more time. Okay, so see, this is the sequence. The template strand 5' to 3'. I have written the template 5' to 3', correct?
yes,
You
ma'am.
need to speak up, otherwise I will not know whether you people are following or not.
Yes, ma'am, we are following.
So what is shown is actually the strand, the green strand, 5' to 3', correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
yes,
So
ma'am.
right? So we need to design the sequence. So whenever we design the PCR primer, usually we give only the sequence of one strand, which is 5 prime to 3 prime, right? So in this case, now you see this part carefully. The green primer is actually the forward primer, which is shown by
And the forward primer is basically the sense strand 5 prime to 3
Yeah,
prime
the
for
sense.
whatever nucleotide.
Everybody, please see. So this sequence is exactly same as the sequence of the sense strand. Exact replica. Okay. You see that? So this 5 prime to 3 prime, and then the black strand is complementary to the sense strand. That is why it is anti-sense strand, right? So the forward primer is going to amplify the antisense strand. So the forward primer has to be complementary to the antisense strand, which is nothing but same as sense strand. Ashi?
Yes, ma'am.
Ashwani followed? Agrim Sharma? Are you there or left?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Followed or no?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then likewise, let's pay attention to the reverse primer. So reverse primer, if you see, so reverse primer is going to amplify the sense strand. Reverse primer is shown by black. So that means when we talk about this, right? So class following or no? So what is the reverse primer now? Tell me from this figure. This will be complementary to the black sequence, but then see that
Yes,
the
ma'am.
sense strand and the anti-sense strand, right? So the black primer is actually the reverse primer. The black one is going to amplify the sense strand.
It's going to be the
Yes,
anti-sense
ma'am.
strand from 5 prime to 3 prime.
Right, so what you need to do is that you need to make a complement of the green one and then read it in the reverse direction. And that is why reverse primer is also called as reverse complement, because it is the complement of the sense strand, because see black and black. So it is the complement of the reverse strand and then it is read in reverse direction. And that is why it is called reverse complement. So now everyone has to try. Now tell me what is the sequence? What should I write for forward primer? So I will ask this to, let me see who is there. Dhwani has left. Agrim, would you like to try? Or Dev Priya, would you like to try?
For forward primer,
Yes.
so it would be ATGCA G.
ATGCA bus.
I don't know what should be the length.
अरे अभी तो बताया था you forgot 18 to 24.
Yeah, so then like the entire sequence from 5 prime to 18. This yeah, I just copied it.
I've taken 19. Okay, who's going to tell me the reverse primer? Dev Priya?
Yes, ma'am, I can. Yeah. So that would be T, C, A, and then lots of T's.
Good, good, very good. What about others? Everybody followed? Okay, let me see. Agrim, you designed the reverse primer for this region.
It will be, I guess, PP, uh,
Hmm?
ETC,
I cannot hear him. So is he saying correct, Dev Priya? Could you hear him?
No, can Agrim repeat?
Ratnesh, clear or no?
Ma'am, clear, but I didn't understand. Like, forward primer is what is forward primer? I didn't understood correctly.
Okay, so maybe Ashi, would you like to explain this figure? Or Vishal?
Yes, ma'am. I can probably explain it to him. Basically, we have two strands. The first one is the sense strand, and the second one is the anti-sense strand. So the sense strand goes from 5 prime to 3 prime. Now the primer would attach itself, like the polymerase works from 5 prime to 3 prime direction. So on the sense strand, the polymerase attaches, and then the replication occurs from 5 prime to 3 prime direction.
No,
So when
hold on, Ashi. So I think one mistake. So the polymerase doesn't attach to the sense strand, है ना? So are you talking about forward primer or reverse primer? So you
ma'am,
need
I'm
to.
talking about the primer. The
Okay,
polymerase would attach to the primer, right?
okay, ठीक है.
So the reverse primer would attach itself to the sense strand, and then the polymerase will act, and the forward primer will attach itself to the anti-sense strand.
Yes. And now, so now explain like what's the forward primer?
Ma'am, as in, okay, I can explain that as well. What happens is the sense strand and anti-sense strand are complementary. So what would happen is since the forward primer would occur on the anti-sense strand, it would be similar. The sequence of the forward primer would be similar to the sense strand. And for the
Because it will amplify the anti-sense strand, and
yes,
anti-sense strand is complementary to sense strand. Ratnesh.
Yes, ma'am. But one question is that if you just reverse the page no, just the same page.
Acha.
Both the strands are just 5 prime to 3 prime. Like the what is called DNA polymerase goes from 3 prime end to 5 prime end.
No, DNA polymerase always extends from 5 prime to 3 prime.
Yes, ma'am. It follows the path of earlier strand in that direction.
Okay. वैसे समझ नहीं आया. What are you trying to say? फिर से.
मैम मीन्स कि जो जिस स्टैंड से मतलब जिस स्टैंड पे रेप्लिकेशन हो रहा है उस पे इट इज वर्किंग फ्रॉम द 3 प्राइम एंड टू 5 प्राइम एंड.
Right. Yes, because it's extending the chain, right? So DNA is complementary.
So in that case, what is sense strand and what is anti-sense strand? How will we say that this is sense strand and this is anti-sense strand?
Okay, so that is a question of transcription. So we will discuss this when I will be teaching you transcription. So sense strand is technically sense strand is the one which is actually transcribed and translated. So earlier when the transcription process was discovered, they found that most of the genes were located on the sense strand, but later people realized that many genes are located in anti-sense strand, and in fact there are genes which are located in both sense and anti-sense strand, and then they are transcribed at different time points. So but then just for the terminology these are used, but in fact anti-sense strand can also transcribe and translate.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so now design the primer. We will discuss this in more detail when I'll teach you transcription. Even in my lab, some of the students, in fact BTech students, are working on bidirectional promoters where the same sequence is transcribed. The top strand is transcribing something and then the antisense is also transcribing something. So these are very good for gene regulation. They are like good circuits for studying further. Acha, coming back to reverse complement, Ratnesh, make the reverse complement from this position, let's say. Oh, it's 10 already. Maybe should I stop here? I guess you have another
Yes,
class.
ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
So maybe we will resume on Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, just one thing. Ma'am, is it possible for me to give my Viva on the 24th itself? Because my Viva would like be the last if you go roll number
How
wise.
do you know?